Okay, hey, what's up, guys? Kevin here to bring you a brand new video. I have a number of things I'd like to discuss at the moment regarding the Saw movies, which I just watched in a matter of 4 days, actually. Well, the first Saw is kind of a movie of its own that I saw a while ago, like 2 years ago, but the other Saw sequels, not including Jigsaw, which I saw in theaters, I watched all today, Wednesday, 2 days ago, and Tuesday. Now, I wanted to give my opinion on what I thought of each one, which one was the best, do I enjoy watching all of them, um, what makes them good, I guess. First of all, let me just say, I've always had kind of a fear of watching these Saw movies because of like the gruesome torture that people endure and like how grotesque it is and just how crazy ways people die and just stuff like that. I had like a kind of like a fear of that. But with that being said, as weird as it is to say, um, I actually really enjoy that aspect of it. I don't really find myself like wanting to like turn away from that kind of thing. I kind of enjoy it. Like is I hope that doesn't sound like twisted, but like it's just fun to watch like how these people get into these situations, whether or not they survive. And the story of a lot of these sequels is actually pretty decent, I think. Now, I wanted to make one point. Now all of these Saw movies, every Saw movie that's ever been made, even the first one only got a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. All of the Saw movies that have ever been made have never been well received by critics. And I kind of have a difficult time understanding why exactly. I can understand why for some of the Saw films, but for other ones, I kind of have trouble like seeing how these movies are all so bad. So it's just like I think it goes to say, as many people could probably attest, that a badly reviewed movie does not make a movie automatically bad. So just because it has 10% in Rotten Tomatoes does not make it bad. I think probably the most prime example of that is Saw 5. I think it was not all that bad of a film, and it got like, I think like 17% in Rotten Tomatoes, like somewhere in the teens. And then Saw 4 got like 19 or something like that. No, Saw 5 got 13. And then Saw 4 got something a little better, like 15, 17 or 19, whatever. Anyways, Saw 5 wasn't all that bad of a film. I liked the story of it. I liked how it was set up. I thought it was one of the better sequels to the franchise. Um, Now we're not thinking about Jigsaw right away, but I thought it was one of the better sequels compared to Saw 4 and Saw 6 and especially Saw 7. I think I think that Saw 7 was definitely the worst Saw. And that might not be a surprise. It's the last Saw before Jigsaw, the which was actually a good movie. I think Jigsaw actually did well at kind of reviving the franchise. I think it was one of the more enjoyable sequels. But now that I've seen all these and heard that know that Jigsaw was a movie that got made like last year, I'm kind of like annoyed at the fact that they still like just kept making movies because it just seems like they just keep on milking the franchise more and more and more and more and more with all these characters and connections and stuff. Like the whole Saw franchise is just like one giant story to tell. Like every single film is connected in some way, and each film tries to like call back to the older ones as to like who these characters are. Like certain people, like Mark Hoffman, who becomes like the bad guy, and like how he was connected to Jigsaw, and like how he carried out his Tobin Bell or John Kramer's orders. His name is John Kramer, not Jigsaw. He doesn't like to be called Jigsaw, actually. Anyways, yeah, like it's all connected. I find that aspect of it interesting when it really gets into like the story of it. But the only thing that kind of annoys me about some of them is like some of them are just like such a stretch as to like how these people got into these situations. Like I think the biggest stretch that I found to make this film one of the worst was in Saw 4 when this guy named Detective Rigg was basically lured into a trap to try to save all these people, and all he would have had to done is just not try to save them and let the timer run out to save this guy uh, Eric Matthews, who ends up getting killed because of him because he tried to save him. And if he had just not done anything, he would have survived. Which is really kind of stupid if you think about it, because like, I mean, come on, really? You just had to wait, like, and like, he was led to do all these things, and I don't know, it's just like a giant trap. And then like, yeah, I just did not like Saw 4 at all, and like, there was no real there was no real situation where people were trapped. It was more like Rig was trying to save these people, like when he didn't necessarily need to. Like I don't know, it wasn't like the classic situation of a bunch of people trapped in a room where they have to like try to get out, which is why I like Saw 5 is one of the best because that has like a group of people trapped and they're all trying to escape, and it has some good story developments with Mark Hoffman, how he becomes the orchestrator of all these um, uh, torture chambers. He becomes like the vocal villain, and it's just a good development of the story. I liked it, but if I had to say which Saw film I found to be the best, I'd say it was Saw 3. But before I get into that, this video is kind of disorganized. I'm just really just saying what's on my mind about this whole franchise. Let's start with Saw 2, because Saw 2 was more of a classic take on it with all these victims in here. But like as far as like comparing it to other films, like I just didn't find it that appealing. There wasn't just it's just there wasn't like a whole lot of substance to it. It was more just these people are trapped in this room. They have to get out. This guy falls into a trap. He gets fucked. The end. Like it's just kind of basic. I don't know. Like I know that's kind of contradictory compared to like the original Saw, which is probably one of my favorite Saw films, maybe probably my favorite. But like the original Saw is just more like a classic. People are trapped. It's a mystery. How are they gonna get out? Whereas Saw 2, it's kind of just repetitive, and it's just they're not like adding a whole lot to the story. Like this guy Eric Matthews interrogates John Kramer, and then this guy interrogates John Kramer, and he unearths some stuff about him, I guess, but he doesn't really tell him a whole lot. And it's just there just wasn't a whole lot to it. I like the twist with Amanda, which is part of the reason why I like Saw 3 as my favorite Saw film, because Saw 3 delves a lot deeper into the story of Amanda and this guy Jeff, and I just really like how the arc that it tells, and this guy Jeff, and how he's trying to face his demons with his son dying and trying to get back at people for that, and whether he wants to save those people. And then it's more of the story of John Kramer trying to survive, and Amanda's like um commitment to him. And like I just liked it a lot. I mean, it was honestly one of the most gruesome. The part where John Kramer's skull gets cut out is one of the most gruesome. Sorry to give that graphic image. Honestly, like if there's anything that would like gross me out in these movies, is probably the amount of like bodies getting cut open. So like some examples are like when the people's intestines get ripped out from the blades, or like when John Kramer's body gets cut open, or when his skull gets cut open in that surgery. Just like things like that kind of gross me out. Other stuff, not as much. Honestly, I don't know. It kind of depends, but like I enjoy it for the most part. As weird as that sounds, I know that sounds weird, But yeah, and then next Saw film, Saw 4, not that great. Just don't like the direction it takes with it's not really like anyone's trapped. It's just like this guy is trying to save people and he ends up fucking himself over in the end. And everybody except for one guy, Mark Hoffman, who would become the annoying villain throughout the series. Saw 5 was a more what do you call it? Original. I mean, it was more like going back to the roots, which I kind of liked better, but like some of the stuff seemed like a bit of a stretch in that film. I do gotta say, like I liked how the people were trapped and how they got out and stuff, but this development with this guy named Strom and how he tries to track down this guy Hoffman, and it turns out to actually be a trap. Like some of like that stuff is just kind of like a stretch. Like okay, what if he didn't find every single clue he needed to fall into this trap of yours? Like he could have easily just avoided it. But like no, he did everything right. He followed all the clues and then he found you and then it was a trap. So like what if he didn't fall into that trap? Like he could have easily not fall into that trap in real life. He could have just like saw through something and been like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't look into that." You know, but he wanted to know the truth and that ends up ultimately screwing him over in the end, which I find kind of dumb, but like aside from that, the people that were actually trapped, it was kind of enjoyable to watch them all try to help each other and how they eventually get out. And they do end up being survivors, which is a couple of them do end up being survivors. Saw 6 was a more organized take on it. It was different. It more centered around the idea that John Kramer put six envelopes with people's names in his will to try to like say these people need to die, including one of his insurance agents, one of these insurance people who denied him coverage for treatment that could have saved his life, which kind of makes sense because like that they you could make a case that he was the guy who caused his death, more or less. So he wanted to get back at him and a few other people, and they're all just kind of there, and it's a fun development. Like it's just like he has to like go through the insurance agent has to go through all these obstacles along with all the other people who uh who felt victimized. I mean, who John felt victimized by, and it's just a good development. Yeah, Saw 6 was fun. I wouldn't say it's as good as Saw 3, but it's probably the next best one. Um, and then Saw 7. Oh man, I have some things to say about Saw 7. Such a bad film. Oh my god. I literally just finished it like how long this video been going for? 15 13 minutes. So I finished this movie 15 minutes ago and my god is it bad. It is so bad. It is the worst installment in the Saw franchise. So basically the trap that this guy falls into basically goes off the fact that he faked being a jigsaw survivor to kind of get money, and then he falls into this guy's trap as a way of saying, "Here, get trapped for real, like get fucked." You know, like okay, that's kind of like a stupid premise. Like I really think that's kind of dumb. And then like everyone he knows gets fucked over, but he like survives, and it's just stupid. I didn't like it at all. And like at the beginning, these people kill this girl in like a public place in a window. Oh my god, that was one of the cringiest moments in the whole franchise that I had to witness. Oh my god. And just like how the story ends with Mark Hoffman and like Mark Hoffman in this goes off the fucking rails and just becomes a psychopathic killer. And unfortunately, spoilers, uh, you know, the girl, John Kramer's wife, meets her untimely demise for fucking Mark Hoffman, who is basically insanely killing everyone just to kill her. And he ends up killing everyone in the fucking movie, except for this guy from the original Saw movie, the guy who cut his leg off and survived, basically fucks him over and exacts his vengeance on him because he actually became an accomplice to John Kramer as well, which was kind of cool to see because he was like the original like victim. So that was kind of neat. and then like yeah, I mean like that the way it ended was actually okay, but like 90% of the film aside from that ending was awful. Like okay, like the last 5 minutes of the movie is like this guy finally coming through and serving this guy Mark Hoffman a fucking justice because he became a psychopath. But like the rest of the movie is just so bad. Like, oh my God, like I wanted this Mark Hoffman guy to just fucking stop, and I really didn't. I really wish that the wife didn't die. I think that was really dumb. I just in this whole premise with this guy being trapped because he was faking being a jigsaw survivor. Oh my God, you gotta punish him now. Like, oh my God, it's just it felt more like filler than anything. Just to get these traps in. And there's this one thing with a bunch of people in like a parking garage and like they all just get killed and it's just it was probably the most pointless like trap for all these people that I could have seen. Like they didn't say why they're there. It's just this one friend had to try to help all these people and he gets fucked over along with all of them like and it's just like why is that there? I don't understand. I like at that point I felt as though they were just making the movie just for the sake of showing how what gruesome ways people could be killed, which I guess is okay, but it's just kind of stupid when you think about it in the sense of like, wow, these people are just getting killed just for the sake of getting killed. Like, okay, that's cool. But, you know, overall it with that being said, Saw 7 is the um worst Saw film ever, but it is not a terrible franchise by any means. If I had to rank the Saw films, I'm not going to count the first one because that's kind of like a movie in its own right. Um, and I will say where Jigsaw ranks in a moment, but I will say so if I had to rank the Saw movies, I'd say the third one was the best. Um, the sixth one is probably the second best, and then probably the third one. I mean the okay, third one, the sixth one, and then the second one followed very closely by the fifth one, and then the fourth one was okay, I guess, and then the seventh one was just awful. But but yeah, Jigsaw, I don't know. I think it's probably a little better than five. I'd say probably somewhere between six and three. I'd rank it, but like Jigsaw was a decent film. I will say I did like it. I did like it. Um, um, yeah, it was a fun movie. Um, even though I hadn't seen the sequels before that. But but yeah, that's my review of all the Saw films. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Please be sure to leave a like if you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Saw, not not a bad franchise. I like all these movies overall. I'd say it's a good franchise. Don't don't turn it down immediately. I would watch all of them to really understand the story. I think the story is fun to look at, but yeah, it's a good franchise. I mean, I just don't think it should continue as long as it did. I think it should have ended at Saw 7. Like that movie was so bad, and and that was considered the final chapter, and like Jigsaw could have easily just not been made. That's just my opinion though. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.